From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now, or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. Here are the facts. The first U.S. national park was Yellowstone, established by Ulysses S. Grant on March 1, 1872. Almost 50 years later, Woodrow Wilson created the National Park Service on August 25, 1916. Since this time, the park system has grown to a massive size, comprising more than 84 million acres of land across the states, as well as in American Samoa, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. In 2015 alone, more than 307 million people visited park sites. Many lingered for a short time, a few hours perhaps. Others stay for a weekend or the length of a camping trip, and some never make it out. Here's where it gets crazy. People really have disappeared at national parks. In October of 1928, newlyweds Glenn and Bessie Hyde vanished while traveling the Colorado River. Their boat was discovered that winter, undamaged and full of supplies. Children have disappeared as well, such as Alfred Beilhartz in 1938 or Catherine Van Alst in 1946. Disappearances continue in the modern day. These aren't always children, nor are they inexperienced. Some authors believe this is a countrywide crisis covered up by Uncle Sam. In his Missing 411 books, author David Paulides collects reports of unsolved disappearances in national parks. According to Paulides, he began investigating these cases when a park ranger contacted him with concerns regarding missing persons in the park system. Paulides argues that hundreds of people are disappearing on public land under extraordinary circumstances, with their bodies discovered miles away from where they were last seen, or scattered clues left in odd places, or, perhaps most disturbing of all, they simply vanished. What could explain these disappearances? First, there's the strong possibility of accident or human error. In remote areas, a slip leading to a broken leg or head injury could spell doom for hapless hikers. Becoming lost in severe weather conditions can also lead to death. The woods are huge and deep, and it's easy to lose one's way. Second, there's the less likely possibility of animal attacks. While the chances of a bear attacking a hiker or camper may be relatively low, the presence of scavengers is a certainty. Regardless of how a person dies in the wild, animals and microorganisms will quickly devour as much of the body as possible. Paulides asks readers to think outside their comfort zones when seeking explanations for these disappearances. Coupled with his earlier books on cryptozoology, many critics as well as proponents of this author believe he's implying that a large, undiscovered primate is responsible for these attacks. In other words, a Sasquatch. Yet it's fair to mention Paulides does not explicitly mention Bigfoot in his books on the park system. As interest in these cases grew, more anecdotes emerged, stories of children disappearing, often directly behind their parents, only to be found dead or miles away. Stories of disappearance clusters where people went missing at a higher rate, such as Yosemite National Park. Yet whether or not you believe a large cryptid could survive undiscovered in the national park system, there are other possible explanations, and it's overwhelmingly unlikely that all these disappearances could be attributed to a single cause. For example, what about the people who disappear on purpose, forsaking mainstream society to live in the wild? What about the people who use these remote locations as an opportunity to fake their deaths or assume new identities? And what about the likelihood of crime, manslaughter, drug deals, kidnapping, serial killers? Other conjecture pushes the story further into the fringe, alleging bizarre weather patterns followed disappearances, or that some sort of otherworldly force may be involved. Paulides finds clusters in more than simple geography. He also sees chronological clusters, wherein a rash of missing persons cases crops up in a short amount of time, or demographic clusters, For example, he argues that many of those who go missing are children and the elderly, and when they are rescued, they often have no clear memory of recent events. These perceived similarities have led Paulides and others to dig deeper. Yet, according to Paulides, the National Park System refuses to assist any investigation, claiming to not keep track of disappearances, and, additionally, denying his Freedom of Information Act request. Could this be because the disappearances are such a tiny fraction of yearly visitors? Or is Paulides right when he alleges there's something the National Park Service doesn't want you to know?
Welcome to the real world.
Good morning, friends. Stephen Ben-Nun here with Israeli News Live. And guys, I need your help. I'm working on a very serious message this morning. This is a very breaking story that I'm working on. But I'm trying to find out for sure what's going on. There is a national park in Colorado, and there has been military that has been deployed to that national park. When I say military, I don't know if it's special forces, if it's small groups, etc. Not really sure on that. I know that we've deployed military to Yellowstone as well. And this is in relation to missing persons, people that are going missing. So I don't want to say much about it as of yet because I am putting things together right now. I was in a meeting last night, and we predominantly discussed what's going on about the missing people in the national parks here in the United States. I will be sharing, this is something normally I would actually put over on Patreon, but it's a little bit more serious because it could affect you. So I didn't want it on Patreon. On this one here, I really felt like it needs to go public, period. And you guys are going to be some of the first to actually know about it. I did also get through a friend of mine in FEMA, bless you, Sister Miriam. And so I wanted to take and speak to you guys this morning. I got a lot of thoughts running through my head, so I'm sorry. I'm having to slow down for a minute and think about things before I say it. But what I'm trying to find out, there is a national park in Colorado where there are missing people that are going missing there, serious enough that we have deployed military there. And again, when I say military, I don't know if that's just special forces trying to, well, I'll go into it a little bit later, what they're trying to do. But we are getting people that are dead, that are ritualistically killed as a result of that. So I'm trying to find out what that park is in Colorado. I know that Yellowstone is definitely one of those parks. I know that there have been park rangers that have been killed as a result as well. I know that our military has engaged with the entities that have done this. So I'm very much aware of that. So, but what I want to do is put everything together. I'm just trying to see if any of you guys might know what park that is in Colorado. So if you can leave me a message in the comments. Of course, the live stream ones go a little bit too fast. So if you happen to know and you're doing it in the live stream comments, please put it in the comments as well in the video what park that may be. And then I'll try to do some research. Or if you guys happen to know if there's any news articles of the missing people there that has happened. This is actually very recent. It's really taken a predominant place on topics that are going on at the Pentagon right now. even greater than that of the situation with Russia and Ukraine. Believe that or not. They are anticipating, by the way, that there is going to come a ceasefire in Ukraine. That is something also that I'll go into, but I'll do that in a different video maybe later this evening. But they are trying to keep this very hush-hush on what's going on over there. In fact, as we call it, the Men in Black have already visited the rangers there in Yellowstone and made it quite clear that this is not to be made known. But, oh well, I guess we'll make things known. So, but if you would, like I said, anybody knows anything, please let me know. And by the way, I know that it may seem odd. Why? Thank you, Kathy Estes Park. I'm not sure, but I'll look it up to see. But the reason why these things are happening in national parks is because of the caves. So that might help as well to know that. There are large caves, like in Yellowstone, large cave entrances and stuff, and these entities are coming out of there. They're not a Sasquatch, they're not a Bigfoot. In fact, if anything, it is one of the closest that we've ever heard. Guy, that's exactly right. It is a satanic worship. It is a ritual. There are ritual killings that are being done. Scott, if you happen to know David, I am trying to reach David as we speak. He was brought up in this meeting I was in yesterday evening. So David is definitely, David Politis, that is, as I was told, he's been a thorn in the side of the government because of his disclosures. Very knowledgeable man. And so I am definitely trying to find a way to reach him. If any of you guys would let him know I'm trying to reach him and ask him to write me, StephenBenoon@gmail.com is probably the easiest way to get in touch with me that way. I would really appreciate that. These entities that are doing it, though, and I'll go into that a little bit later, I'll describe what they are like. And it is believed to be the closest thing to fallen angels that even the government has ever looked at. So I don't really, I'll go into, like I said, I'll go into all that a little bit later. I'm just wanting to try to get as much information as I can. Thanks, Frank. To get information to you guys, and then I'll go into the details. I'm actually working on my notes right now from yesterday evening, so I'll get that all put together here, and hopefully here in the next hour or so, I should have the video put together where I can put that up for you, so you guys will know a little bit more about what's going on. And the reason too about this is because I would definitely stay clear of these areas. We're having frequently more and more problems. In fact, I did one video over on our Patreon platform about the giants, like the giant of Kandahar. We have those in Washington State at Mount Rainier, and we have been having problems with them, and they're becoming increasingly violent. But the situation in the national parks, we've got a lot of people going missing, a lot of them ritualistically killed, and it's a very, very bad situation. So definitely I would avoid caves right now, around these mountain areas and stuff like that. But anyway, I'll get all my notes together. Thank you guys so much.
This rather chilling image comes to us courtesy of a drone. To be more specific, a police drone. Taken in a city near Mato Grosso in Brazil, it seems to show a creature that believers in the paranormal might identify as a werewolf. After the photo was released, Brazilian police had been asking the locals if anybody saw or heard anything, but nobody has come forth with any news or intel. Monster or monstrous man? What do you think?
Welcome to the real world.
Drone catches something powerful. Do you believe Sasquatch exists? If you didn't before, you probably will after watching this video. A person in Tennessee posted this footage of a tree moving in a very strange way in a forest. It kind of looks like a gigantic beast is trying to tear the tree off the ground and actually being successful at it. There aren't any creatures in that area that could do such a thing, especially if they don't have opposable thumbs. But Bigfoot is a purported ape-like creature said to inhabit the forests of North America, which means that he would have very capable, big, and strong hands to grab a tree of that size and snap it like a twig. Honestly, there's no chance at all that that tree is moving in that way due to the wind. None of the other trees right next to it are moving, not even an inch. And a person would never be strong enough to snap a tree in half like that. Is this irrefutable proof that the Sasquatch exists? At the end of the video, you can see the massive tree that has finally been uprooted and that starts moving around the forest. Whatever it was incredibly powerful.
Welcome to the real world.